Welcome back to the Standards of Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Isaac, and today I want to talk about one of those simple ideas that quietly changes everything once you've seen it. The 80-20 rule. You've probably heard of it before, that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. But the real magic is when you stop treating it like a business cliche and start applying it to the way you live. Because once you see where your real impact comes from, life gets a lot lighter and a lot more effective. Here's the short version. The 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto Principle, says the most outcomes are driven by a small number of causes. In business, that means 80% of revenue comes from just 20% of customers. In fitness, maybe 80% of your progress comes from just 20% of your workouts, the consistent ones. And in your personal life, 80% of your joy probably comes from 20% of the people you spend time with. The numbers aren't always exact. It's the pattern that matters more so. A small number of things produce most of the results. And most of what we do doesn't move the needle that much at all. Seeing that clearly is powerful, because it helps you stop trying to do everything and start doing what actually matters. The reason most people ignore the 80-20 rule is that it offends our sense of fairness. We like the idea that effort always equals reward. But if we just work harder, we'll get proportionately better results. But life doesn't really work that way. Effort matters, but focused effort matters more. The 80-20 rule forces you to ask a hard question of yourself. What 20% of what I do creates most of my results? And what 80% is just noise? That question can be uncomfortable, but because it means admitting that some of your work, routines, or relationships aren't producing much in return. But honesty about that is where excellence starts. Let me give you a real-world example. A few years back, a small business owner I worked with was constantly exhausted. He was working 60-hour work weeks, answering every email, doing pretty much every task himself. We sat down and took a look at his numbers. It turned out that 80% of his revenue came from just 2 clients, and 80% of his stress came from 10 small ones who constantly missed payments. So he made one bold move. He let go of the bottom 10 and doubled down on serving the top 2 better than anyone else. Within 6 months, his income had increased and his stress had virtually vanished. Same person, same work ethic. He just focused on the right 20%. That's the 80-20 rule in action. Clarity beats busyness. You don't need to own a business to use this principle. It's really everywhere. In health, 20% of your habits, sleep, hydration, movement, drive 80% of your energy. In relationships, a handful of people give you most of your joy. Spend time there. In learning, 20% of the material gives you 80% of understanding. Focus on core concepts, not trivia. And in productivity, a few key tasks create most of your progress. The rest is filler disguised as work. Once you start spotting the pattern, you realize of what stresses you out doesn't actually move you forward. And when you trim the noise, you free up energy for what truly matters. That's where life starts to feel aligned again. So how do you put this into practice? Here's a simple system that you can start using today. Step 1, audit your inputs. Look at your last week. Where did your time, money, and energy go? Be honest with yourself. Where are the biggest returns and where are the deepest black holes? Step 2, rank your impact. Circle the few things that give you the biggest results or peace of mind. Those are your 20%. And step 3, double down and delete. Double down on what's working, delete, delegate, or minimize the rest. Every no to something trivial is a yes to something meaningful. And that's how you start living intentionally instead of reactively. The 80-20 rule isn't about productivity, it's about peace. And when you accept that not everything deserves equal effort, you stop carrying this unnecessary weight. You stop trying to be everywhere, fix everything, and please everyone. Excellence is not about doing more, it's about doing better. It's knowing which few things deserve your best and giving those everything you've got. The rest, it's background noise. The sooner you embrace that, the calmer, sharper, and more fulfilled you become. Most of what fights for your attention doesn't actually deserve it. So today, narrow your focus. Give your energy to the 20% that truly moves your life forward, and just watch how fast everything else seems to fall into place. Thank you for listening to the Standards of Excellence podcast. If today's message hit home, share it with someone who's tired of being busy and ready to become effective. Until next time, pursue excellence. Don't mistake movement for progress, and make today matter.